Hello again, ladies and gentlemen and other assorted gender assignations. Welcome back to the Bored to Death Bingecast, where we take TV shows and movies and binge them in easily digestible chunks. I am Jay Winger, being joined by
Sam,
Zeke,
and
Chris.
And we are here to begin our binge of Season 2 of My Hero Academia. But before we go on, when this goes up, there is also a little mini-cast that we uploaded where we address you, the audience. Please go listen to it, because we are looking for your feedback and your suggestions. Please go ahead and listen to it and get back to us. Now, back to regular Bingecast stuff. So, we finished Season 1, God, how long ago was it now?
A couple months.
Before
Corona.
It was
no, it wasn't before Corona.
No, it was during the peak of Corona.
Sometime during Corona.
We started the Bingecast because I was stuck at home, unable to work.
I'll work for how long? I don't know this stuff anymore.
4 months.
Yeah, I'm on like a bi-weekly schedule. But at any rate, so when we left off, they just introduced the League of Villains. They'd had their big confrontation at the UA Hero Dome or whatever it was called.
Training facility.
The training facility. We saw All Might take on one of the Nomu. Nomu, that's what it was. Nomu.
You don't have your notes down here, do you?
I do. I just don't have them open at the moment.
Too many notes.
Yeah.
Too many notes. Flip through that one.
Yeah, basically. Deku is still trying to learn how to wield his power responsibly.
Without breaking himself.
Yep. Bakugo is still Bakugo.
He gets even more Bakugo, don't worry.
I imagine so. Let's
wait till they pick their hero names.
Oh, boy. And the League of Villains, most of them got caught except for Bad Touch and the Void Mist guy.
The Vortex dude. I can never remember his name.
Neither can I, and I don't...
Kyogari.
He's bringing up the notebook, folks. Hang on a second.
I thought you were like it was Kuro something or other.
Kyogari. I can't... If I could pronounce it unless I hear it again.
Yeah. It's still... God dang. I have to flip back through so many pages here.
Japanese name number 400 something. So how's the weather over there?
Drafty.
Clear?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I jotted down what his actual name was. I just called him like Dark Void or something like that.
So they captured the Nomu. They didn't capture the two head people of the
League of Villains, which is Bad Touch and Void Guy. But we did.
Kyogari.
Okay. But we know that Bad Touch is taking orders from somebody else, and that there is a new villain about to arrive on the scene.
I
gotta keep remembering not to say things, because I was just about to name drop, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's whatever.
Now you know how I am when I have to hold back whenever we watch Gundam?
Yeah, you hold back so much, Mr. 30 minutes of information on the first episode.
Tapping into the Wellick of knowledge.
Well, I had to sit there and basically just explain a lot of shit.
Yeah, you did. And you still do.
I kind of have to.
This is true. But, we're about to pick up with Season 2, and looks like it's going to be starting with a little recap episode, as tends to do with these things. I don't know how long a gap there was between Seasons 1 and 2 in Japan.
About a year or so, probably a little
That makes sense why they might put a recap thing in then to sort of catch everybody back up on what was going on. But, so, that about wraps up this little intro. We will see you after the binge. And we're back, following our binge of My Hero Academia, beginning Season 2. We actually did sort of like 5.5 episodes, because the season opens with a recap episode, sort of summarizing everything from Season 1, establishing who Deku is, what his quirk is once he inherits it from All Might, and everything. But the season kicks off with them sort of recovering from everything, going back to school, and, well, so the UA staff are following up on the whole League of Villains, and they recognize that Shigaraki, Mr. Bad Touch, is a threat because he's convinced these small-time thugs to basically fight alongside him. And Deku, meanwhile, is feeling pressure solely from himself because he wants to live up to All Might's legacy. All Might doesn't exactly do him any favors when he basically says, "I want you to do very well in the sports festival," which is the arc for at least the first half of the season. But Ochaco, when she hears about the sports festival, is really fired up, and we finally find out why she's trying to become a hero. It's more that she wants to become licensed to do it so she can make a bunch of money so that her family is taken care of, which is far more noble a reason for doing it for the money than Bakugo, who's just like, I want to be famous.
He wants to be number one.
He wants to be number one for the sake of being number one and all the fame that comes with it. Whereas Ochako's more like, I want to become a hero, yes, so I can make the money, but it's so I can support my family, not just for the sake of making money, like Bakugo. But they did point out an interesting way that she could use her quirk once she gets licensed, I suppose, in construction. That her family would be able to sell the heavy equipment, and she could use her quirk to help them build stuff. But for whatever reason, they don't seem they want to do that.
They want her to have her own dreams, aspirations, and not hold her back, pretty much.
And I commented while we were watching it that that's actually way better as a family thing than you normally see in these sorts of stories, where it's just sort of like, don't become a hero. You should just get a nice steady job, like working in construction like us. They're instead like, it's nice that you want to help us, but don't give up on your own dreams. So she's sort of balanced the two.
And unlike some of the other animes where it's teen focused and you see nothing or hear nothing from their parents or anything, this one it goes through a good portion of Class 1A's parental units to the
we've seen that
students.
We've seen that with Deku's mom, and
you'll see Bakugo's family.
I was about to say that Bakugo's the only one I can think of the main ones that we haven't seen or heard much about his family. We know about Ida's brother. And
all of his family actually has that a different kind of engine ability.
Mm-hmm. But we know that his brother is already a pro hero, and has
his own. I think he has his own agency. I'm not sure if he's just part of one or has his own.
And in this, in the 5 episodes that we watched, we also got introduced to Todoroki's father, the flame hero Endeavor. Mostly he's just sort of standing, looking foreboding in the background. But it looks like in the next episode, when we do our next binge, we'll finally get to see him actually talk when he has a conversation with All Might.
So that's hero rank number 1 and 2.
Yeah. But the sports festival is basically just a competition between all of the students at UA. And unfortunately, Class 1A has a big old target on their back because the news has been talking about them after the League of Villains attack.
Not only because of the news, but because Bakugo has a big mouth.
Well, there's that
class
too.
Representative.
No, Ida is the class representative.
No, I meant for
in the tournament.
Oh yeah, but because he ranked number 1 in the
in the race,
not in the race,
in
the entrance exam. He, was picked from 1A to picked from the class to basically go up and give a little speech, and he just goes up and goes,
"I want to win this."
Just so you know, I'm going to win.
But even before that, he announced in the classroom, "I'm going to beat all you guys."
Oh, yeah. He straight up calls every single other student in the school extras. I was just like, God damn!
Because they were being surrounded by all the other classes from 1B to whatever the hell else they have in there.
And a couple of the students from the other classes, namely, mostly just Shinso from 1C, and Tetsu from
1B.
1B basically showed up to to basically say.
Oh, the guy with copy also.
No, he didn't. He was lurking there.
Oh no, in that scene. No.
Yeah. But Shinso basically made it clear that if you guys fall behind, then the teachers could always drop you from 1A, and that will mean that somebody else can get called up to the hero track instead of sidekick or support. Well, maybe not support, but from sidekick. And Bakugo is just sort of like, yeah, I don't care. But Tetsu is basically shouts a lot.
Yes,
He's
a very shouty boy.
Very shouty boy. That was my nickname for him before they finally gave him a name. I was like, okay, Tetsu, which is just a hilarious name by itself.
Not hard to remember.
Not hard to forget, you mean? Okay,
either way.
But and so the first competition they have is the obstacle course, where Todoroki basically shows just how ridiculously OP he is. Not just in terms of his power, but the fact that he also uses strategy. Because he freezes a bunch of robots, which were the first obstacle.
He froze all of his opponents.
Well, he froze them, and then when they basically started getting free and started catching up, he freezes the robots while they're off balance so that they'll fall on top of them.
He did show how much smaller and stronger he was in the exam with All Might last season. When he froze the whole floor of the building.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And he's like, just walked in there.
Yeah, he's just like, just stay there. Yeah. So, froze everything.
That was a genius move.
It was. But it's just sort of like he has all these abilities and practically no downside.
Yeah, the reason
himself.
He
is his own downside.
He does put a lot of pressure on himself in his own way, not to the same extent that Deku does, but...
Well, as Deku's fighting an uphill battle of previously quirkless, now has a quirk,
but he can't control it. Yeah.
Breaks himself every time he uses it or mishandles it, so...
Mm-hmm.
Except for when putting fires out, apparently.
No,
that was a great use of the quirk. We'll get to that in a bit. But
thinking how he explained it before was that he wasn't using it against a person, so he almost subconsciously was able to convince himself that I'm not trying to hurt anybody, I'm not trying to kill anybody, kind of thing. On the robots, he knew he didn't have to hold back, so that's why he put in 110%, just broke the shit out of his arms.
The only thing that he was hurting was someone's the finances of the UA, because those things are probably really expensive.
Well, they build them every year to break.
After you see people who can make things with their own abilities,
I
want to make a giant robot.
Creation Girl. What's her name? Momo. She has a creation quirk. We see her use that against the robots when she makes a fucking cannon and just knocks one of them down with it.
For things of that size, you haven't really got to it, but telling you a limitation on a power isn't really spoilers. So it's a bit trickier. She can't do that constantly.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, when you have people with quirks that allow them to create things more or less from nothing, doesn't necessarily have to be a really big complicated thing. She could just make the components as much as she wants, as far as her quirk allows her. I appreciate that there is some arbitrary limit to how much she can do.
It actually makes a lot of sense with how she explains her power later on.
Okay. But
she'd be a great mom. She could always get her kid whatever they want.
This is true.
Oh, you want a Game Boy? Okay.
It's like, hold on, how was that made again?
But then it's programming it is where it would fall down. Just being able to make the components,
like little plushies and stuff.
Oh yeah, little plushies,
basic components.
Or like little plastic action figures. But we also get introduced to Hatsume, one of the support.
Hatsume.
One of the support students. She's basically Gadget Girl, and she is way over the top with her enthusiasm for her babies.
They haven't shown her quirk either.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing if she's in the support track that she doesn't have a very powerful quirk.
Not really.
Yeah, which is why she relies more on gadgets.
But the things she's making is for others.
Yeah.
She doesn't really make them necessarily
and
for herself.
It becomes clear as we see her doing her thing that she is trying to show off how versatile her gadgets are so that she can get picked up by a pro agency when she graduates.
She wants to be able to distribute her babies.
Yeah, basically.
To help everyone around the world.
And that's pretty cool. But Deku ends up coming in first from the whole thing. He takes a panel from one of the robots and starts using it like a shield.
Yeah, Todoroki blew up earlier.
Yeah, and he uses it to block some of the incoming damage.
He broke one of the robots with it by swinging it at it.
Yep, and then the final obstacle is a minefield. It's not a very...
It's more of a minefield that it doesn't hurt you.
It's like flashbangs.
Yeah, it just sends you flying.
Concussion.
A minor concussion rather than shrapnel.
All while being blown away by a pretty pink cloud.
Yeah. And
you got to make it flashy for the audience.
Oh yeah.
And Todoroki and Bakugo are way out in front because Todoroki's ridiculously OP, and Bakugo's just I don't need to run across the minefield. I can just launch myself across it using my own explosions.
But his true weakness comes across when he decides to turn around and fight the first place person instead of fly past him.
That is Bakugo's greatest weakness. He does not like it when somebody else is in front of him, and his immediate reaction is must kill.
Not subdue. Kill.
Exactly.
That's his go-to.
Uh-huh. And then Deku basically uses his brains instead of just trying to run across it.
Mind you, he hasn't used his quirk at all.
I was getting to that. He hasn't used his quirk at all in the obstacle course, but he uses the robot panel to dig up a bunch of the mines, stacks them up, and then basically uses the thing like a sled, jumps on top of it, and gets launched across the whole frickin' minefield. And the second he passes Bakugo and Todoroki, they're like, hey, chase that guy. They stop fighting each other and they start racing after him.
Todoroki declared, you're my rival now.
And I'm going to beat you.
Bakugo's famous line is, you declare war to the wrong person.
Yeah. Todoroki, because he spotted that Deku, or overheard that Deku had been invited to lunch with All Might, and so figures out, okay, All Might's being a mentor to him. So he's got All Might's backing, he's got all this other attention on him thanks to the stuff going on at the League of Villains attack.
I think it's
a little bit... I'm coming after you.
More of a deep-seated jealousy of what he would have wanted out of his father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from the very little that we've gotten about his relationship with Endeavor so far, it definitely seems like there's not exactly a very loving relationship there.
But he's seeing, he's taking All Might taking the time out of his day. Hey, you want to have lunch with me? Packed little snacks.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go have some tea.
And mind you, this is coming from a guy who's 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
I'm built like a building.
And he's like, I got lunch, and this is tiny little lunch bag.
That was great. You want to have lunch together? So Deku ends up winning the race, and then when they announce the next competition, the cavalry battle,
he regrets it immediately
because they're competing for points, and Deku, because he placed first, is worth 10 million points
out of the 40 people. There.
Out of the 40 people that made it to the next round, made it to the second round, he is far and away in the lead ahead of everybody,
and nobody wants to partner up with him either.
Because they recognize he's got a target on his back.
Because that means their points will be at risk too.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's like, no, I'm going to go over with this person instead.
Yeah, and Bakugo, people are quick to come to him because he's proven how versatile his quirk is. And a bunch of people are basically all wanting to team up with him. He's like, remind me what your quirks are. Oh, and your names. Exactly.
That's how arrogant he is.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, and even after that, we saw that in the finale. He still couldn't remember their names. He called them stupid hair or whatever.
Stupid hair and acid girl.
Mm-hmm, but Deku finally does manage to.
Oh no, raccoon eyes.
Raccoon eyes. That's what it was. He finally convinces, or Ochaco comes up to him and is basically like, "Let's team up," and then they get. And then Hatsume comes over, so sort of like, I want to team up with you.
After they get shut down by
Ida. They go to Ida and try to recruit him, and he's like, no,
And then he declares his rivalry for
him.
him.
He basically is like, I'm also competing against you here, so no, sorry. I need to stand out, kind of thing. And
can't be in your dust this whole entire time and expect to grow.
But they do manage to recruit Tokoyami.
Tokoyami, yep.
And they actually do come up with a pretty viable strategy for using all of their... Playing keep away, running away from everybody, except everybody else is also basically proving that they know how to use one another's quirks to their advantage. And that's when we get introduced to Monoma, one of the... was he one? He's from one of the other classes.
He's 1B.
Oh, he is 1B, okay.
He's the one with copy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He's 1B.
He's 1B, so I'll just go ahead and update my notes a little bit. Anyway, but he has a pretty useful quirk himself. He can copy other people's quirks. Only one at a time, and only for 5 minutes.
And by touching them.
Yes, he has to touch them. And he makes pretty good use of it, snagging a bunch of headbands from people to grab points.
Also, it makes sense for him to be on the top of the tower because he has 3 people
that he can basically copy quirks off of, and he does it. The solid air guy, he copies his quirk a few times. I don't think they established what the other members of his team had as quirks. But
I'm trying to think if it was him or the other team, but the one dude, I think it's the dude with the kind of like the Eren Yeager Titan look.
Mm-hmm.
He can.
It's like glue or something, wasn't it?
No, he can melt the ground.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, the quicksand thing.
I can't remember the technical term or what he actually does with
I'm sure we'll get introduced properly in a later episode.
Sure that's him.
But they did have it was one of the other teams that had the glue guy.
Yeah, it was the one with the weird helmet.
Yeah, the weird helmet guy. But we also, then there was Shinzo, who we don't see him a whole lot during the cavalry battle, but by the end of the thing, his team managed to come in third because he just basically snagged a bunch of headbands. They haven't exactly established what his quirk is, but from what we've seen, it looks like he can sort of, while he's touching people at least, sort of make people obey him somehow. It's not clear.
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, you're not going to say anything, but you saw him using it to avoid the ice, Todoroki's ice during the obstacle course, and you're just like, that makes way more sense now because you are aware of this.
All he does is he touches someone and goes, my rent is cheaper.
Yeah, sure.
Damn it didn't work.
Yeah, no, you're not going to be able to do that sort of thing to me. Sorry.
It must be a mental thing. I have to lose.
But Todoroki at one point basically said that he doesn't use his the fire abilities that he inherited from his father in combat. He from his left side, because his right hand is the one that does the ice powers. And to Deku's credit, when he gets boxed in by Todoroki during the battle, he makes sure to keep himself at an angle where he can't use his ice abilities without compromising his own team. But I speculated about this during while we were watching. For a while, I thought that he was relying more on his ice powers rather than his flame powers because he is trying to set himself apart from his father, the number 2 hero, Endeavor, the flame hero. Now I'm not so sure, but I still think that there is something to my theory.
So the Eren Yeager looking guy is quirk is softening. He softened the ground.
Okay.
And his name is Juzo.
Juzo. Okay. Yeah, I think I saw that briefly while they were like showing off who placed in the top 40 kind of thing. But I was like, there are so many names here, I'm not going to be able to note them all down.
Yeah, I had to figure it out again.
But still definitely enjoying the series. I like that they're still doing the whole trying to show some of the drawbacks of some of these things, trying to keep, for all the superpowers and everything, they still show that there are limitations to them, that there are things that one needs to keep in mind. Like Deku still has to hold himself back in order to use his ability without breaking himself.
Mentioned that Ida had a secret move.
Yeah. Oh, Ida. Ida, with his engines on his legs, he basically can overclock it, essentially, and put on a huge burst of speed, but the drawback is it then causes his engines to stall, so he can't use the speed any longer. It was great when he used it to allow Todoroki to grab his headband. Deku sees him coming, and he's just like, "Watch out!" But he barely even gets "watch out."
He's like gonna say like, "Cover."
He barely gets one word out before they're already past him. But yeah, they're doing their part to introduce some more characters, focus things back on the school and the rivalries there. We know that Shigaraki is still out there. He's watching the competition on TV like everybody else is, and clearly getting pissed off that Deku is still managing to show off. When Deku came in first in the obstacle race, we saw him watching and just started scratching at his neck, which Sam, you said is a sign that he's getting pissed off.
Kind of. He has a weird tick about him when he's not getting things going his way.
When things aren't going his way, he starts like scratching at his neck a lot.
Real bad.
Mm-hmm.
You see it later.
I did notice during the USJ fight in season 1, he started like scratching at it, left like red marks all over his neck. And for a while, I was like, is his power working against himself, or is he just scratching at himself so much that he's literally like raking his skin off? There's the whole sports festival thing is always a great way to introduce some more characters that will be important in the future, and also some just throwaway characters as well.
So how do you feel with how they're introducing characters, their quirks, and do you feel bogged down by...
It does feel a bit bogged... I do feel a bit bogged down because there are just so many characters now. It's like I barely even can remember everybody in Class 1A, and now they're introducing more? What?
But the cool thing they do with this, they make it pretty often. When you see a character, they'll flash up their name, their quirk, and then you're like, oh yeah, that guy.
It's like when a character is going to become significant, at least to the scene, they will name them and establish what their quirk is. Because we saw like Todoroki a lot before they finally named him and his power.
Yeah. And the good thing is they're not doing it with people we don't know yet, because it makes it a big surprise and a mystery. Like, oh, holy crap, I didn't know he could do that.
Like with Shinso. They haven't even given him the whole, like, Shinso, his quirk, blah, blah, blah. They haven't even given him his name. It didn't even identify him until his team placed third.
Yeah, freaking genius is what he is.
Mm-hmm. And of course, then there's like a whole bunch of other characters going on in there, and some of them are going to not be focused on as much, simply because there are too many characters. But I still enjoying the series. Still see why you wanted to get back in and watch this again, so you could catch the things you didn't catch the first time around.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like with the doctor from the first
I knew
episode.
that from the moment he was introduced. When I saw him on screen, I'm like, tell me Deku probably had a quirk, but stole it from him and used this weird. Oh yeah, you have to have an extra bone in your toe. Usually have quirk.
Is usually everybody that has a quirk has this extra bone. And you don't have that extra bone in your toe, so you're not going to have
So
quirk.
the thing is, he could have just thrown up any old X-ray.
This is true.
And stolen his quirk when they were doing examinations with some, either an ability or some kind of serum.
His mom probably said, I want him to know.
Don't tell him! Please! For the love of
We're,
God!
we're all speculating about stuff that may come to the fore later in the series. You guys, of course, know a whole lot of stuff about stuff that's going to happen in later episodes that you're not telling me.
Did you catch what the next couple episodes are going to be for the next cast?
The
finals.
The finals, it looks like it's going to be like one-on-one fights.
The World Martial Arts Tournament, but in My Hero style.
Strongest under the heavens!
I love the fights because they have some matchups that you just look at them and go,
this guy's going to win, obviously, but then they throw a curveball.
You just look at it and you're just like, there's no way they're even going to have a minute chance of winning this match. And then they surprise the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And this is where
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
This is where the style of the show actually shines the most, where they have multiple different artists working on the show at once. So the fight scenes, these
get stylized a bit.
So cinematic. It looks so good. That's why I was so excited to see them actually have movies out. See it on that big ass screen and enjoying my favorite characters doing what they do best, but flashier.
And I'm sure we'll do the movies as well when we get to the right point in the.
I think that's in the middle of season 3 is the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
It's one of those things you can always look up later.
Yeah.
And,
well, I mean, once we get to the episode, they'll literally tell us.
Oh, well, there you go.
The only thing I said here, I worry, because I'm up to season 4 or 5, I'm scared that my hero is going to become like Harry Potter to me. Where Harry Potter, when they were in the school, was awesome. The moment they left the school, boing!
Are you talking about Deathly Hallows?
Oh, yeah, fuck that thing. It's supposed to be dark and edgy.
We could have a whole different conversation about Harry Potter and stuff. Let's not distract ourselves any further.
It's the similarities that scare me. Like, it's like,
okay.
They're in school right now, and the school is so cool. You see all these nice.
Yeah, I can sort of see where you're coming from with that.
But here's the thing: Harry Potter is a bit of magic. There's only so much you can do with magic. With quirks like this and combinations of quirks, it becomes
superhero real life.
Especially since in Harry Potter, only a small part of the number of people across the whole world, essentially, have magic. Still enough that they have their own little secret society living right under our noses. But compared to the Muggles, wizards are a lot smaller in number.
Well, you also got the fact those movies are literally based around the main characters, so you don't have a whole lot of adventuring off into, oh yeah, what's this team doing this time? Well, what's that team doing?
Whereas in the world of My Hero Academia, 80% of the world has quirks. So it's like anytime you need to introduce a new villain, boom, there you go. Yeah, sometimes it's just like, yeah, okay, you've got a tail, or your head is a cactus, or your head is an onomatopoeia.
You want to know what this show kind of reminds me of? Sky High.
Yes. I've seen a lot of Sky High similarities here.
Like the scene in the movie where they're trying to figure out, are you a hero or a sidekick?
Yeah.
Like I think I remember one of the kids, he's like, all right, so what's your, and the teacher or the staff member is played by Bruce Campbell.
Oh, the coach, yeah.
Yeah, and this one kid goes and he spits on like a pillar. He's like, sidekick. He's like, wait, look, and then turns out it's acid. He goes, hero.
Yeah, and because some of the characters didn't want to show off their abilities for some reason, or they otherwise couldn't, he was just like sidekick.
Yep.
If you're not flashy enough, you're not a hero.
That's how it worked in Sky High, at least.
Well, I mean, that's what people are trying to do in My Hero Academia currently in the arc we're in. People are trying to show off to try to get picked up by agencies to be scouted to either be a sidekick that moves up or someone that just trains.
And Mr. Aizawa basically made that clear to them when he announced that the sports festival was going to happen. It's like, you only get one chance a year three chances in a lifetime, essentially, because it's like a 3-year course at UA.
Because right now all of them are in first years are about 15, 16.
Yeah. So it's like this is your first chance to start getting noticed and to start getting scouted. And if you don't impress here, they're less likely to pay attention to you in future years. It's like you got to go big or go home, which is of course what everyone's doing. Bakugo is not very happy that he placed second in the cavalry battle. Not that that's a bad.
He wasn't happy that he placed second in the first one either.
Did he place second? I thought Todoroki placed second in the race.
Did Todoroki place second? Yeah, he placed third then.
But that's just Bakugo in general. It's just like, if you're not first, you're last.
You're the first. If you're not first, you're the
second place is the first loser. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's about it for this Bingecast.
I gotta ask you guys this: what's your favorite quirk so far?
Oh, you beat my
God dang! You had to go into that.
Well, no, mine's gonna be a little bit modified to yours. Trust me.
Honestly, Todoroki's is pretty badass. You know, with the versatility of it, and he hasn't even shown what he can do with his flame powers yet. But the ice powers alone are pretty damn powerful. So I'm probably gonna go with him.
Dark Hole all the way.
You're still a fan of Kurogiri, huh?
Not Kurogiri.
No, that's the Void.
13.
Oh, 13. Okay, the black hole. Okay, gotcha.
Well, come on. You asked the question. You got to answer the question.
No, mine hasn't come up yet, and I don't want to spoil this one.
Oh, you have to use what you got.
No.
Now.
Oh.
I think Sam knows who I'm talking about.
Oh, no. For what we're in right now, what was the purple hair guy from 1C again?
Shinso?
Just to make you keep wondering, that's my favorite power currently as we're going in the season.
Okay.
So,
Because
I know what the power is.
because you know what the power is.
Wait, what was his power? Because you said that they all
Can't say.
Because he doesn't want to spoil it for me.
I'll tell you later, Chris.
Okay.
So here's the
Because
question.
I just couldn't remember. Because
Just remember to ask me later.
Here's one for you guys. If you had a cork, what would be your cork?
That's not fair. Because I don't know.
You can name anything. Like
I honestly don't know what I would pick for my quirk.
Oh, I'll do mine first.
Are you
Mine
talking
would be
about
a devour. I can eat anything no matter what. My downside would be
there is a character like that.
my
later.
downside would be my stomach would be, depending on what I eat, it could make my stomach get really messed up.
It's like you are capable of eating anything and it won't kill you, but it
Chris,
will
are you
make
talking
you
about
sick.
Are you talking about Mario?
The season 3. I think he's in. Wait, is he in season 3? Or I think he's later on in this season. Is when he shows up. He's the one who carries the sword around.
He's in this season.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank.
I think I would probably go with a teleportation ability.
Teleportation? But what would be the downside to your cork? Remember, it has
A limited range, probably.
So you're basically Nightcrawler.
Yes, kind of thing.
So
we're gonna go with character name.
within line of sight, kind of thing.
Or he has to know what it already looks like before he can teleport in it.
That's just too powerful. I like the line of sight one better.
Line of sight, yeah. Otherwise it's like you're the guy from Jumper.
I mean, you look into a window, boom, I'm in there instead of,
Yeah, line of sight, no obstacles. So if it's like a clear glass window, I might be able to see where I'm
weakness
going.
is a vault.
Basically. So I wouldn't be able to use it to like rob bank vaults kind of
But
thing.
like if you get stuck in one, like a villain captures you in a vault,
Then I'm stuck.
you're gone. You're just in there until your air runs out.
Sam, what would be your...
Well, if we're just going to be naming...
Well,
I know what power I'd want, but it's easier if everybody knows the character. Shadowcat.
So you want to go
Pass through.
Oh, you want to be able to phase through things.
Well, remember, corks have a plus and a minus, so what would be a minus?
The same as Shadowcats. If you don't focus enough, you can
Get stuck
inside.
And you, Chris?
That's always been a favorite power of mine.
Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and base it. Take what mine is from my favorite X-Men, healing factor.
A Wolverine, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty useful.
Yeah. Means
What's
I
your
never get
downside?
sick. Never have to take a sick day again.
get as many tattoos.
Or
that's the downside.
No. Even
That's true.
No, even better. Bruce
can't get
Willis.
drunk.
No,
And
even
you can't get
better. Bruce Willis from Unbreakable. Because if you remember, he had super strength and he never got sick because he talked to his boss. He was like, "When was the last time I took a sick day?" His boss actually went and looked. And he was like, "You've never taken a sick day in the 5 years that you've worked here," and he gave him a raise because of it.
Which wasn't even his goal. Of course, the drawback that he had is
his weakness was water.
Yeah, he drowns basically.
He drowned in a puddle in glass.
I mean, anybody can drown in a puddle if you hold their head down into it.
Why did you mention weakness to water? Look, a plan for water. We're going to invade it. Is water a weakness? Shut up, you.
Or it's like
what's a twist?
Or it's like Stitch in Lilo and Stitch when he's crashing on Earth, and they're like, it looked like he was going to crash in the Pacific Ocean. It's like, he can't swim. He's too dense. And then it's like he crashes on Hawaii, but it's like he's stuck on an island with no major cities, and he's like, ah!
Oh, I forgot about that one.
That would be another binge. Binge all of that, not the anime.
We have to find the anime.
No.
There's
an anime of Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, dude,
Stitch.
There's literally an anime of Stitch. The best part, if we did, I want to see this episode just because they broke up Lilo and Stitch.
How dare you?
To bring them back towards the end when she had her own kid that looked just like Lilo.
Of course.
And
Stitch attaches himself to her.
But didn't know, and then little Lilo showed up and they had to break them up again. And it was like, everybody who's watching this episode is like, you bastards, that's the heart! That's the feeling you're hitting!
How dare you?
So it's an anime, not an American cartoon?
Oh,
It was made in Japan.
But then Disney, I think, came up and dissected it into their own little thing.
Yeah, but
Disney's like, you're making money off of this?
well,
That
there
was
is
Disney of Japan.
there is Walt Disney Japan that Studio Ghibli is a part of.
Okay.
Future Avengers. Hope not.
Let's not talk about that one.
But I think that about wraps up this edition of the Bingecast. We will be doing more of My Hero, depending on how the format of the Bingecast continues. Again, listen to our little mini-cast where we request feedback from you, the audience. But we will continue doing this. At some future point, our schedule is always open.
Could all people be called binges? Everybody has a group of people that follows them. Will always be called binges.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have to discuss that later. Once we get to triple digits, we can start talking about what our listeners are called. But at any rate, for Sam, Zeke, and Chris, I'm Jay, and we'll see you next time. Next time. Next time. Next time. Next time.